caring for our communities, out of the gym and off the park, working just as hard paying it forward to our next generation. This is More Than an Athlete with Izzy and Kempe.
Brought to you by Tremaine Real Estate, bringing people and property together in our communities.
Wow, this man needs no introduction, really. He is an absolute champion on the field, but many loves the impact he's having off the field in the community. Sir Michael Jones, how you doing, Sir Michael?
Hey, tēnā kōrua, Izzy, Kempe, lovely to chat this morning, and yeah, hope you guys and your whānau are okay, especially you, Izzy, down in the mighty Hawke's Bay. I just hope and pray all is well with the whānau down there and the community, your community.
Thank you very much. Yeah, she's a tough time in the Hawke's Bay at the moment. Yeah. Plenty of people are doing it tough, but they need more people, and there's plenty of people out there like yourself, Sir Michael, that are very passionate about the community, mate, and the work that you've been doing. We had Officer on last week, so you're out there, you're in the community. What are you seeing?
It's I don't know. I mean, here in Auckland, when we went through the floods and then obviously Cyclone Gabriel, I don't know, I never thought I'd see the day. I'm sort of proud Auckland boy, born and bred out west, and didn't think I'd ever see the Trust Stadium housing people, similar to what happened in a little bit in Cyclone Katrina and those scenes in the big NFL stadium, the Saints Stadium, when you had, thousands of people in a sports stadium, but thankfully we didn't have that many, but, I just never thought I'd see the day. And then now seeing what's happened down in Te Rāwhiti and the Hawke's Bay. It's just part of, I suppose this day and age. And I just seeing a lot of despair, I suppose, a lot of, brokenness, and people just trying to get back on their feet. We had a lot of the Muruwai whānau whose houses are still getting red-stickered as we speak, because the slip isn't stopping, it's still moving. So I think that's been the most sobering piece, Izzy and Kempe, is just seeing lives having to get put back together. And I suppose for us, like Kempe as well, and we all do, and it's part of our DNA, is what can we do just to awhi and tautoko and just see what can we do just to help them get back on their feet and just get back on that journey to full recovery.
Morena, Mike, just on Morena, mate, how about the importance of just the community and stepping aside from the day-to-day workings of what you're doing to support? How important is that currently? Because I don't think we've seen the full impact of this, have we?
No, you're right, Kempe. It's, we said from day one when the flood hit, and I think we were there on the next morning, and some were there the night before, taking people in. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And I think, just using the Auckland example and the whānau, mainly out west and south that we've been working with, it is going to take a long time to just, whether it's finding a new home. Unfortunately, what it's done is expose or put the magnifying glass on how much poverty there is actually in our streets, in our homes, and it just magnified it, sadly. And it sort of came more to the fore. I think, obviously, with Hawke's Bay, it's going to be an even longer journey of recovery, that road, and probably a similar, particularly with the more marginalised communities, that the way of going deeper and being more entrenched. And then so that journey out of it takes longer, unfortunately.
And just for you, Sir Michael, what worries you going forward? What is the most worrying, concerning thing for you about what we're seeing at the moment that you're hoping won't unfold, but you're potentially going to see a lot of it? Is there something that's really worrying you?
I think you said the word hope in there. we've got to have hope, and
Yep.
our hope is the same hope that these amazing people. I mean, the resiliency is awe-inspiring that I see of the people most impacted and most affected, and that inspires us all to just get over our own circumstances and do our very best, and that hope carries us. We've got to have that tumanakotanga, that hope, because without it, so that gives me, that I'm confident that although there is some real suffering and then some real heartache, and of course there's been loss of life, which is, I suppose, the most tragic piece of all this is people lost loved ones, and thankfully I think that's down to single figures in terms of who's missing still down on the east coast and Izzy and through the whole space. So I think we've just got to hold on to that hope, Izzy, Kempi.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I see, as I have before, the very best in being a Kiwi, and as New Zealanders, the love, the compassion, the aroha, it's just outstanding and makes me extra proud to be, a Kiwi boy in this time. And, every single person that can does what they can.
Michael, what does the prevalence of sport play in all this? When you've set up all those academies and you've been working with our whānau and through all the sporting circles with your voice. You're talking about resilience, inspiration. How do you connect that sort of teamwork at the moment, and what are you doing on the ground with your knowledge to help support that through sport?
I think the greatest gift we all got given, it'll be the same for you, Kempi, and I know for Izzy, playing for our nation, whether it was as an All Black or Kiwi or any level of leadership, it gave us a platform or influence to potentially just make a difference from what we can do, but I suppose mobilize people, draw on your networks, the goodwill that's out there. We're just so grateful that when we come calling, people just want to help. And we've got to steward or kaitiaki that influence as best we can, so that we can optimize, not only our support structures or what, like you said, can be putting in place programs or initiatives that are going to make a difference, and then no one gets left behind. That's our heart. That no Kiwi gets left behind. So whether it's doing food banks or running youth programs, they're all part of just our ability to initiate programs or responses. And I think rugby, for me, and I can only speak as a rugby player, it's taught me a lot about being innovative, taking a lead, drawing on those around you, because you're only as good as your team, and trying to put the right people around you. You can have the vision, but to get the job done, you've got to have the A-team. And so all those kind of lessons and values that you learn from sport, you carry into what you do out there, and it puts you in a good stead. And again, I can't emphasize enough the power of the platform or the influence. And I'm just so grateful. It's the greatest gift that being an All Black has given me. I mean, I'm so grateful for everything it gave me, including the sheer joy and honour of playing for your country. And then, you meet as Izzy, and you meet queens, kings, presidents, prime ministers, make great friends around the world, go travel all over creation. That wasn't you, Izzy, that gave the Queen a hard time one time? No, that wasn't you. That
wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Those persons will remain unnamed. Those persons will remain unnamed. But more than all of that is what it gives you to continue to hopefully make a difference in your world, in your community, particularly for those who need it most, the most vulnerable.
And a team that people will be looking to for hope and some sense of some positiveness is Moana Pacifica. And the team that'll be lining up with a very settled roster heading into another season. And on the other side, the flip side, you got young Nico Jones in there, obviously following in the footsteps of his father. Just want to ask you about that as well. Like, are you hands-on with that? And how do you deal with the pressures? Like, I've got a young son, and I'm always worried that he's always going to be compared to his dad, but I want him to follow his own journey. Is that something that you're quite worried about as well?
Yeah, maybe I'll use the pun. I'll tackle that first question first, and then I'll lead on to that. Just about Moana Pacifica, if that's easy. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of hopes and aspirations that ride on Moana Pacifica as sort of the first Pacifica franchise, and what that means to have a team that carries the hopes and dreams of Samoan and Tongan rugby, Fijian rugby, island rugby, but also the big diaspora that lives here in Aotearoa. I think it's 300,000, and also in the States and all over the world, Australia. So yeah, it's important to go out and represent and I suppose live out the vision and the legacy and do it justice. Then coming back to it's wonderful to have, I suppose, Nico able to sort of be in this Moana Pacifica environment. He's your question, Izzy, and I do feel for your boy. Your kids, it's the same for our kids. There's always expectation, but the good thing about they have to find their own feet and ply their own trade and find and take their own journey. I'm thankful he's got a good head on him. He gets there from his mother, so he doesn't feel pressure. I don't think he just takes it in his stride. But he's had he hasn't had an easy road. Although he's sort of shot out quite early as a secondary school player, but he's had a few injuries, as we all do, and that road, the tough road is sometimes the best road, and it teaches him a lot, and he's growing in his character, and will come. Still early days, but I know, I'm sure for your kids too, Izzy. You just, I always said I wouldn't care if they wanted to, be a ballet dancer in the New Zealand Ballet, whatever program. You just whatever they want to do, as long as they chase their dreams and be the best they can, and we'll love and support them whatever they want to do. I suppose for us rugby dads, if they play rugby, there's a bit more sort of expectations and spotlight, but they live in that shadow. But thankfully, I'm pretty sure it's the same. I think we underestimate how resilient and how tough our kids are, and they can handle it. Hey, bro.
That's right.
Yeah.
Step out into out into your own light. That's a great answer, Michael. Just before we let you go, you're known for changing people's perceptions around no play on Sunday. When you did that, when you were an All Black, what's your message of hope that you can give our community? What would you like to say just before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for those that are doing it tough, and I suppose as community, if we have a leadership hat on, it is concerning that more and more of our people are doing it tough. I mean, inflation's hard. After COVID, in our food banks, it's a barometer of what's happening out there, and we're seeing people that never you'd expect to see in a food bank. They call it the new poor, or the new vulnerable. So I think our heart, or my heart, is just to always reach out. I think help is a biggie out there for our people, and I think culturally sometimes some of our communities and even Kiwis, we're very stoic and we're very tough. I love the work that Sir JK does. I'm a big supporter of that, mahi. But I think we've just got to, especially I know there's probably a lot of listeners who come from that kind of space, especially if we're with sports people. Just got to really, just reach out and overcome any sort of mindsets that would preclude us from just reaching out when we need to particularly not just to the ones around us that love us the most, but there's some really good programs and agencies, and again, I just prefer to Sir JK's programs. That's just one, but man, I've seen the contribution and the change that's made in people's life firsthand. Yeah, how's that? Always it might have been a long-winded
You nailed
answer, but yeah,
you nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it, Sir Michael. We really appreciate you coming on Izzy and Kempi for breakfast. You're an inspirational rugby player, but you're an inspirational person in the community, and I know you provide so much hope for our people around Aotearoa, and we appreciate all that you're doing, my friend. Thank you so much, and
Me too, brothers.
thanks for taking the time.
Keep up the good work too, brothers. Yeah, thank you. Love your show. Love your mai.